What up, Rodders? You know who it is. You know what time it is. Your boy Savage, aka Sevloke. You tuning in to Sevloke's Hood Tales. Like, comment, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. Let's get to the politics. Big shout out to everybody showing the channel love. Appreciate the love and support. Let's get to this video. So this video comes out the comment section. Big shout out to 405 boy. You know what it is, man. Thank you for the interaction, bro. And you wanted me to do a video kind of like the layout of Denver gangs. You also said that you had a couple partners that came from Oklahoma, and one of your homies got shot, and you thought it was the Trey gangsters that shot him. So let me get down to it, kind of put this in detail. So before Bloods and Crips even hit in Denver, Colorado, you had original Denver gangs that banged Denver hoods, original fools that kept it rooted to Denver, right? And the way it's broke up out here is that you have four areas, four neighborhoods. You got the east side, you have the west side, you have the south side, and the north side. And all four of them hoods and neighborhoods, they all have a list of fools that were banging original Denver hoods. So on the east side, you had East Side Brick Cities, and this is East Side Brick Cities, and they were neutral at one time. You had the East Side Odies, right? You had the East Side ESGs. You had East Side Curtis Park Boys. You had the East Side Horsemen. You had the East Side Traduce Posse. You had East Side Black Hole Posse. The East Side Deuce Five Raiders, like I think I said that. And then you had in that same area on the outskirts of the east side right there, you had the villains, the east side villains. You had a hood from Swansea, that's like an outskirt of the east side too, east side Chicky 30s. And you have the Lottas from Swamptons, the Swansea area. But then down the road, Chicky 30 Crips also, Chickies also had a circle that were Chicky 30 Crips from east side Denver, and they were Chickies too. Went to the west side, you had a gang that was called the Pan Boys at one time, and it turned into two of the bigger west side hoods in west side Denver, the GKIs and the Inca Boys, and they were mutual enemies. You had west side AKs, you had the west side Buyers Hood, you had a lot of taggers in the west side, like tagging crews that actually got active and were actually front lining on some gangbang shit. Dub C's, the EMS fools, the Dub K fools, the west side KOD fools. So you had a handful of west side hoods in the west side, original west side fools. You went to the north side, you had original north side hoods like North Side Hitmen, Northside Quintalomas, the Northside Mafia, the Northside Warlords, Northside Criminal Fools, the Northside Untouchables. And they were original Northside hoods. They were not North Daniels. Those were original Northside hoods. You went to the south side. You had Westwood hoods from the south. You had Southside Steel, Southside Homies. They were not mixed up in the Sudanio politics. This was before California even hit Denver, right? These are all original Denver gangs that banged Denver hoods, and they kept it Denver rooted. Nothing else. So the California, the crack epidemic hit, and it hit all over the world basically, and it hit real bad in Denver, Colorado. In the early 90s and the late 80s, you started seeing big amounts of Californians come out here. Fools from California hoods come out here. They came out here in numbers because there was money out here and they could actually get bread. When crack cocaine hit out here, they were like, let's go get this bread. They came, and certain hoods set up shop. Certain hoods went to certain areas. And one big hood that came to Denver, Colorado east side was the West Side Compton Crips from Front Hood. And they came to the projects. Well, when they came to the projects, they bring their politics to the projects. And one thing about Eastside Denver fools, they were they had a lot of pride. So they got mad and they said, you trying to bring your politics? We ain't having that over here. This is Eastside Denver. And there was a resistance against the Front Hood Compton Crips. And there was a war that actually popped off. Around the same time, you had a fool named Michael Ashbury, Big Psych, and he had ties to Los Angeles and the Watts area. And if I'm not mistaken, he had ties to I think the Harlem 30s. He had ties, I think, to some of the Grapes out there. And he was back and forth from Denver, Colorado to Cali. And when he got back out here to Denver, where he was staying at was 30th Ave. And they formed a gang called Eastside Treos from 30th Ave. And they were like, since he had a lot of pull and family members from the land, he formed the Treos out here, and they were all Crips. Them Treos, they didn't really get along with Compton Crip. So there was a war between Compton Crip front hoods and the 30s. And they actually went to war, and there was actually a lot of bloodshed behind that. So Treos start getting a lot of little homies. And that's where you get Trey Gangsters. That's where you get Trey Deuce. That's where you get Trey Ones. That's where you start seeing Brick City Crips. And then Brick City MVPs, which is one hood. And it's split up into two circles. You start seeing Eastside Trey Fives. You start seeing, different hoods pop up under basically the umbrella of the Eastside car. And basically Eastside is a big car out here in the penitentiaries, and they run their politics, but they represent Denver Crippin'. They represent, Eastside Denver. And they were the first fools that actually put up a resistance against anything else coming through Denver, and that was a big war at one time. Then in that time frame, also Crenshaw Mafia came out here, and there's a neighborhood called Park Hill out here, and Park Hill is on the other side of Colorado Boulevard. It goes east side, 5 Points area, and then there's Colorado Boulevard, and it's one of the busier streets. And that was all some fools called BOYZs, and that was more. They had a more blood persona. So when Crenshaw Mafia came out here, they actually, them fools set up their shop. They went straight to Park Hill, and that whole area became a blood neighborhood. And those two areas were mutual enemies. That's a big aspect. That dividing line divides Bloods and Crips out here, and they were pushing it West Coast politics all the way. So in them neighborhoods, like I said, you had all them hoods from the east side, and the east side came predominantly Crips. Everybody in the east side was Crips, besides the east side oldies, which are Chicano fools, and they actually started beefing with a lot of the Crips in the east side. East ESGs also started beefing. They're Chicanos too, they're Mexicans, and they started beefing with all the Crips in the east side. Deuce 5 Raiders, they're all pretty much all the same, and they started beefing with a lot of the Crips in the east side. The west side pretty much was just them original west side gangs, but also there was west side fools that had family members that was rooted to Park Hill, and Park Hill started going to the west side of Denver, and they started actually branching the Bloods to the west side of Denver. And Park Hill is on the east side of the city, and the west side is on the west side of the city, but they started branching to the west side and started rooting their hoods. And now on the west side you have west side Bloods, and they're very deep over there on the west side. You have the Cali west side Bloods that started branching, because you got Crenshaw Mafia over there, And Crenshaw Mafia out here in Denver has 4 different circles in the west side. You have west side West Ridge CMGs. You have west side Do 7 CMGs. You have fools that just bang west side 10-4s CMGs. And you have the Park Hill CMGs. And then you have fools that went out their way and they started their own blood hoods and they got deep. West side 16 block bloods. These were like the first, no, the 16 blocks came a little bit after, but the first bloods that were like originally banging Denver blood was West Side LGBs, the West Side KCBs, the West Side SMBs, Sick Minded Bloods, and they were all bloods. And then you had Do 7 CMG and Boom and Bang. I did a story. They created something, Do 7 CMG. So the west side became a lot of bloods. And the north side and south side, they just basically kept it original Denver hoods, really, besides one north side hood that became Crips, and that was the north side OGCs, but they were way after. So that was the Denver Metro, but that was the Denver city limits. But the Denver Metro, like Aurora, Monballo, outside of the Metro Denver, Californians came to Aurora, Monballo, and they brought their politics deep to Monballo and Aurora. And they brought a lot of 60s came out here, started quoing. A lot of A-Trays came out here, started quoing. Monballo, they had a lot of gear gangs go to Monballo, started quoing. You ran into a big handful of 5 Deuce Broadway fools out here. I ran into the Grapes out here. I ran into a handful of Coast Crip fools out here. Ran into 40s out here. Ran into Skylines out here, Lincoln Parks out here, but they chose to actually be Park Hill and Park Hill because that's the big blood area. And the fools that are super amped up, the most amped up hoods that be really pushing the line, the wars, like between them, 60s A-Trays, they be tripping out here, very, very much so. You're always going to have the west side. You always going to have the east side and Park Hill go to war. That's a war on site type thing. And yeah, bro, there's a lot of a list of different things. And you catch everything out here now, though. You know what I'm saying? It's a melting pot. And that's what it is. So I hope this video was a little detailed to the rundown. Yeah, but them Trey fools, they do. There was a circle of Trays that would really actually be putting in work. So there might have been a chance, you never know. But yeah, so that's what it is. Your boy Savage. Let's go.